Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell says Grenada is looking at collaborating with Guyana to tackle the issue of food security. He said he is quite eager to get on board with a proposal put forward by Guyana's President Mohamed Afram Ali that looks at a cluster in production and shipping between Guyana, Trinidad and Grenada. In an interview with the Government Information Service after returning from the 43rd CARICOM Heads of Government Summit in Suriname, the Prime Minister said he's also looking to capitalize on the possible opportunities that exist for livestock.
We have a veterinary school here. I discussed with Prime Minister Motley because she's been collaborating with Guyana as well on some of the livestock issues, with the fact that we may have to look at the fact that Guyana has the land, it has the space, so production may have to take place there. Guyana may have to, Barbados may have to look at a different aspect of it in terms of slaughtering the choice cuts. And I think there's an opportunity for us in Grenada to use leverage St. George's University and the veterinary school to do things like the research, how we treat with diseases and so on. So those are some of the things we really want to pursue because food security, without question, is probably the biggest threat or challenge that we face, and we have to find ways to deal with it.
The shipping of local honey to Trinidad and Tobago has been a long-standing issue for Grenada. Prime Minister Mitchell says while the cards were not yet played during the recent summit, it's one he intends to tackle after proper preparation.
You know, things like our honey, as you're aware, we have an issue with Trinidad. I chose not to raise it just yet, but I think it's something that we have to work on. And if that means not just from a Grenada Trinidad perspective, but from an OECS Trinidad perspective and a wider area, it's something we have to look at as well. So there are a lot of issues that I think we have to address, but you know, you're not going to solve them at the heads conference. You're really going to solve them prior to that by doing the kind of work we need to do behind the scenes to make sure that it happens. So I think that is where the commitment has to go into strengthening the Secretariat and the strengthening a lot of the subcommittees and the quasi-cabinet that leads on some of those issues.
Grenada heads the ICT Council for CARICOM, and the Prime Minister believes this area also has some issues to address as a means to cut costs.
Roaming charges, for example, within the OECS and wider CARICOM is something that has to be looked at. We, in my view, also duplicating regulatory space because we have ECTEL and then we have each territory within the OECS having the NTRC. I think that's a model we need to relook because to me it's expensive and cumbersome. I certainly am prepared to support one regulatory model within OECS, and ECTEL is already there. I'm not so sure there's a need for the domestic NTRCs, but that's a discussion we have to have with our colleagues. So I think there are a number of things we need to push, ensuring that we have 100% internet penetration and it's accessible and that the quality is reliable is something we have to look at as well. And then obviously the digital economy is something we need to promote, the coding, the programming, not just in Grenada but throughout the islands. So those are some of the issues I'd be happy to take on and lead on.
Prime Minister Mitchell returned from Suriname on Wednesday at the end of the 3-day summit, which he termed a success. Cherry and Blackman Stephen, GBN News.